What's up, Cryptoverse? You're tuned into another production with Bitfolio Media where we listen, learn, and adopt everything cryptocurrency. I'm your host, Willie Crypto. In today's web series, we'll discuss and analyze one of the hottest coins on the market. You guessed it, Vertcoin. I'll be joined by my correspondent, Richard Scott of Rich Gets It, and together, we'll look under the hood and examine in thorough detail why this coin is affectionately called the People's Coin. We'll be right back. And we're back, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Richard Scott. How you doing, brother?
Will.
All right.
Yes.
So we're just going to dive right in and get right to it. Vertcoin. So this is a coin that Richard actually introduced me to roughly, what was that, about 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And man, this is a very interesting technology. So for those of you who don't know, I've been in this space, like I said, for a couple years, and I typically like to invest in hybrid model businesses that actually have use cases. And I use a 5-point system to rate these different company currencies. But when he introduced me to Vertcoin, I said, wow. I had to give my correspondent in Chicago, Thomas Barnes, a call and say, hey, man, we need to check this coin out. This gentleman, he writes code. He's a developer. And he actually said, we need to check it out. So he said, all right, now we'll put it to the test. So we put a chart on it. And for those, that means that, we did a trade analyst on it. And we noticed on November 3rd, that Vertcoin had hit a bottom. So it represented a major buy signal. So we just continued to watch, and in real time, this coin has skyrocketed basically 120%. It's, what, $8 and change right now?
Yeah.
And thanks to you, I made a little money.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
So for the viewers out there, if you could just kind of go into what is behind this technology. I know it's a currency, but what are the fundamentals surrounding this crypto coin?
What I like about Vertcoin, and it's spelled V-E-R-T, but in the sense of the T is silent because Ver is the French word for green. So Vertcoin is one of the coins that the developers, they downloaded the Bitcoin core code, and they made some changes to the Bitcoin core, and enough changes to make a new coin. And one of the changes that they did is they added the Lira 2 RE B2 hash algorithm, which is a ASIC resistance algorithm. And you can ask me about that in the comment section of this video. But we're going to have a video that goes into more in depth about what that means. An ASIC resistance chip, ASIC resistance algorithm versus a ASIC algorithm. Also, what I like about it is it has a total coin distribution of 84 million total, which, as you know, Bitcoin has a total distribution of 21 million, and will be at our full distribution by the year 2140. Bitcoin has a 10-minute block time, whereas Vertcoin has a 2.5-minute block time. Bitcoin also has, we're in the third halving of Bitcoin, which means how many Bitcoin are created for every block. So right now we're in the third halving of Bitcoin, which means that every 10 minutes when a new block is created, that first transaction at this point is 12.5 Bitcoin plus the number of transaction fees that are in that block. We're still in the 50 block. We're still in the 50 block Vertcoin creation period of the first halving. It will have about every 840,000 blocks, which averages out to be about every 4 years. Okay, so it's very exciting. It's done very well as far as price. Will give you some more technical analysis on why these things are moving that way. But I like it because it's at its core, it's like a twin or a little Bitcoin clone. It runs like Bitcoin, the network runs like Bitcoin, but it is serving a different use case, and that use case is, as Bitcoin is an ASIC, running an ASIC script to do its hashes, you have specific chips that are running that. What that's done is, these chips are expensive, and what that's done is it's kind of caused a little bit of centralization where you have to have there's a financial barrier to entry to mining Bitcoin because you have these high-end chips, whereas because Vertcoin is a ASIC resistance chip, then you can still mine Vertcoin on your CPU and on your graphics cards. So if you want to build a miner, which we'll talk about building miners as well, you will be able to build a miner and either mine them on your own just to learn how the mining process works, or you can join mining pools and you'll be able to get some of those 50 Vertcoin that hit every 2.5 minutes in those new blocks.
Wow. Kind of talk about the project management team surrounding Vertcoin, because I try to do my due diligence, and one of the things that are important to me on any investment is I need to know, is it a sound management team? But what I've noticed is this is a non-traditional sense when you're talking about, obviously, cryptocurrencies. So some of these cryptocurrencies, they're just made up of a whole bunch of developers in their community. What is the actual management team surrounding Vertcoin?
Well, let me just talk about looking at the teams of a coin in general. And so what you want to do is you want to, first, one of the things you want to look at with a coin, with these new coins, I like an open source coin, which means that I can go to their website and they have a link to their website, probably to their GitHub account, and you can go there and you can actually download the code for Vertcoin today if you want to, and review the code. You don't have to be a coding expert. If you just want to take this process to learn, to see how a cryptocurrency is put together, you can go download Bitcoin, you can download Litecoin, you can download Vertcoin, you can look at their code, and you can learn where you're going to see how everything happens. You can talk about network latency, you can talk about coin distribution, all of these different things, even with very rudimentary programming skills like maybe with Python, some C++, and some other popular programming languages. Another thing on GitHub, what you'll see is you will see the actual programming activity about how many commits are being done for the coin. And what a commit is when someone makes a change or an improvement, whether it's a little code or to the backend code or to the user interface of a wallet. You can go and see how much programming or contribution that the community as a whole is making to that coin. And if that's happening, then what it is a very strong community supporting that coin, which leads to the viability of this coin long term.
Wow. So from the sound of things, it sounds like maybe in the future this could be the type of coin that could coexist with Bitcoin.
Correct. There's going to be lots of coins in this space. You got to realize that in August of 2017, there were probably about 800 to 900 coins. We're sitting here today in December of 2017, and there's probably close to about 12 to 1,300 coins. So there are going to be a lot of coins. There's a lot of good coins out there. There's a lot of good coins that aren't getting a lot of attention, which are good opportunities. There's a lot of bad coins that are getting an opportunity, getting a lot of attention. They're pump and dumps. So we're going to work through all of that for you, for us, and everyone else out there. Just try to determine, hey, check this out. No, leave that alone.
Got it. Kind of talk about the security surrounding this currency, because one of the things that are important to myself and a lot of the viewers out there that give me feedback all the time is we're looking for that everyday medium of exchange when you're talking about money. When we talked about in our last episode about paying bills and things of that nature, what's the security surrounding Vertcoin?
The security is that it's on a blockchain. And a blockchain, as we can get into later on, is a distributed, decentralized network that uses what they call a consensus protocol to make sure that the amount that you and I transact is on every single node, which is a Vertcoin, basically a Vertcoin computer.
Sure.
Across the entire network. Our interaction has been signed by cryptographic keys. And so that adds to the security. So there's different levels of security, because Bitcoin, Vertcoin, and a lot of these other cryptocurrencies, no one just jumped out of the box and created it in one day. These are technologies that have been built on and improved, and now we have something that's working that can go into mass adoption.
Wow. Now I just want to make sure everybody understands that I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only, but from the information that he's given me and from the charts that we've studied, this coin seems to be one of those coins that could have some sustainability, that could be around for a while. Like we said earlier, right now the price has gone up over 120%, and that's already come from an actual pullback that happened a month ago. So we know when we look up under the hood at these coins, one of the things that I try to identify with is, was there a pump and dump? Now that's something that we'll talk about in one of the later shows, but once we saw that this price was the real thing, I was definitely a believer. I think that this particular coin could be a winner. That's why I'm trying to buy as much as I possibly can. So with that being said, where do you think Vertcoin will be in the future in regards in the mix with all these other coins. Because one of the other things that I'm studying right now is about the atomic swaps technology, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's something that I'm really excited about because I'm a professional trader as well.
Cool. So that is super cool. Atomic swaps. So when we talk about, you can't talk about atomic swaps without talking about the Lightning Network and SegWit. So now, what happens is we have coins now, and if you want to go from Bitcoin to another coin, you have to go to there are some exchanges out there that are what I would call centralized exchanges, and those are the ones that are regulated by financial institution or financial regulators. There are some decentralized crypto to crypto only exchanges like Shapeshift.io. You mentioned earlier BitShares, where you can swap these things out there on a decentralized network itself. You don't have as much regulatory friction when you do that type of transaction. Now, what we can have with the advent of these coins that I said that basically how they were created was they downloaded the Bitcoin core and they made some minor tweaks to it. So that made these coins I would say in their soul compatible, their soulmates with Bitcoin and the other coins that were created that way. And they can be transferred in what has been in theory and what's being put into practice, about to go to mass adoption, in what's called the Lightning Network. And what this does is allow me and you to create a cross-chain transactions where if you have Vertcoin, I have Bitcoin, we want to swap, we can do that in a cross-chain transaction where you can sign the transaction of the Vertcoin in your chain, I can sign the transaction of the Bitcoin in my chain, and then the two shall meet, make swaps, and we will have made a transaction between two coins that are joined together at the soul.
Wow.
So that's going to be very exciting because you will get to Visa level transaction speed with the Lightning Network. But what I just described is also described as another function is called an atomic swap. So we're swapping out, but it's enabled by the Lightning Network protocol.
Wow. Sounds like it solves a major pain point. And that's one of the things that was very important to me because it's like, hey, I'm tired of dealing with the centralized exchanges. You don't own your private keys.
Yeah.
You want some more anonymous transactions with your peers. Mm-hmm. So this sounds like a coin that, that's got some staying power to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the thing when we talk about anonymity. And because what we're talking about is privacy. And it's like one of those things, we always hear the argument, well, if you don't have anything, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to hide? It's not about that. Privacy is about this, in my view, my opinion, and maybe people out there. Creativity cannot exist without privacy. What if every idea that you've ever had has to be out there for everyone? It may be ultimately, but it doesn't have to be in its nascent stages to where you're developing it, creating it, crafting it, all of those things. So now you can be creative with your money. You can be creative with what you choose to use as a medium to transfer value. And I can't wait to see your creativity on these trades because I think it'll be something that it can help a lot of people. Definitely can help me because, like I said, I know the technology of it, but I am just trading is over my head. So I'm definitely excited about it, these opportunities. But like I said, this gives us the privacy, the anonymity, gives us the opportunity to let our creativity flourish and benefit us.
Wow. And you make some great points about, the creativity in regards to privacy and things of that nature. One of the other things I wanted to ask you, the Bitcoin, backing up a little bit, the hard fork. Mm-hmm. From everything that you explained, this kind of sounds like why the Bitcoin core wanted to stay as is. So they knew that they had to be compatible to the Lightning Network, and that's probably one of the reasons why they didn't want to do the upgrade to SegWit too.
Yes. Now, so Bitcoin, I think the first coin that was really Lightning compatible, and we'll talk about is Litecoin, Lightning Network compatible, which made it. I'm talking about SegWit compatible, which made it Lightning Network compatible. But what happened with these recent forks is, in August 1, we had a fork, Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin. And then somewhere between there and now, they tried to do another fork, the SegWit 2X, which it just did not happen. what you have to have in order for these nodes, the people that run nodes that support Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, basically they vote by saying, hey, we'll take this software upgrade and put it on our node, or no, we vote against it by not installing it, or we're going to take this software upgrade over another. So what you had is you had a lot of people that said, look, the Bitcoin core said we're going to go with this route, we're going to do SegWit, we're going to evolve into these additional blocks, and so that's how they voted. Now Bitcoin Cash, they said, well, we're going to move to 8 blocks, 8 megabyte blocks, and so that's how they went, and they were able to sustain their chain after the fork. Some forks don't sustain. I mean, some chains do not sustain after the fork, because we have every confirmation period, or every 10 minutes, you have what's called a soft fork, which is basically one chain is longer than the other, and then whenever the entire network looks and sees one chain is longer, they'll jump on that chain, and then the other fork just kind of fades away. But when you have a hard fork, you in theory have another coin, but SegWit 2x, they just kind of faded away.
Wow, that's very, very interesting stuff. So to wrap everything up, where do you see Vertcoin? Is it going to be a player in the future? Do you think it has some sustainability?
Yeah, it definitely has it, because you got to realize, let's say like if you have a situation where there's a lot of transactions going into Bitcoin at a certain period of time on a block, you're talking about a 10-minute confirmation time to get anywhere from a 1 megabyte to maybe 1.5 megabyte block of transactions. Where you got Litecoin, Vertcoin, and a few other coins that they have a 2.5 minute transaction time. So if I'm a merchant and I'm sitting waiting on confirmations to have these things, your wallet may automatically on the fly just do the atomic swap and convert your coins. If you got most of these coins, it'll convert these coins to that coin and pay that merchant. So a lot of it'll be just like, it'll be seamless to us. We won't have to sit here and say, convert this, and right now you have a, you got like a little window there saying your coins are being converted, please wait a minute. It'll just happen on the fly, and it'll be behind the scenes, and we want to know it, and we'll be happy for it.
Awesome. Yep. And last question for our viewers: the one-click miner that Vertcoin has on their website. If they want to try to get into mining the coin, how do they go about doing that? Because I get those questions all the time, like, well, why can't I mine Bitcoin? I was like, the conglomerates. That's where
you can mine Bitcoin, but the question is, will you get any block rewards? And you have to look at something called, there's a hash rate, and we'll get into that. We'll do a whole video on hash rate. And the hash rate, there's a thing called difficulty, which means how hard is it to run this algorithm to get the necessary outcome to be able to prove that you did the proof of work. Okay. Now, that level of difficulty increases exponentially every 2 weeks on the Bitcoin network, the more nodes you have. So, because it has to get harder, because the more nodes you have on there would in theory drive down the time, that 10-minute window, for you to get a new block. So in order to do it, it self-adjusts itself and makes it harder every single time based on the number of nodes that are on there. Now, unless something just catastrophically happens and immediately half of the nodes drop off the face of the earth, then it will still take time for that hash rate to readjust downward on the other side. Vertcoin itself, it has a Vertcoin, instead of every 2 weeks making an adjustment to their difficulty, they do it every block. So you're able to get immediate results on that. But if you want to be a miner, one of the things, and we'll get into this too, is probably building the physical miner, or buying a physical miner, which is like a computer that runs this algorithm, and joining a what they call a mining pool, which you network your computer, your rig to other rigs, and instead of, if you get that, if you guys collectively win a block on Vertcoin, instead of one of you just getting all 50 new Vertcoin, you split them based on who did the work, or the proportion of work that was done by your machine.
Awesome. And with that being said, you've heard it here first. So the fundamentals kind of line up. They got strong technicals. This is a coin that could be a possible player in the future. That's all we have for today, folks. And we're out. We'll see you in the next episode.